What is the best way to get those I teach to see that learning has no skin color? By John Stonker. One of our classmates, Leighton Walton, was kind enough to share his feelings on the subject as I feel that for me it has always been a very large concern as to how I could ever attempt to educate anyone else on matters of race as I am told constantly of my middle aged Caucasian male privilege. I was scared for the longest time to even consider addressing any issues because I hadn't been on the receiving end of personal nega- negation as a result of the color of my skin. Finally, I grew into the person I am today and took into consideration that there are way too many types of discrimination and that allowing myself to fall into this trap of self loathing because I am told to do so is only feeding the fire more. Today I stand firm and resolute, fighting for justice in my classroom with every single student. And with that, I don't stand for any injustice, regardless of ethnicity or circumstances. I don't let either extreme push those buttons. I think when we address these issues head on and with class and dignity, it will stand as a light in the darkness for these kids to see that there is a better way to manage these highly charged situations. Here's an article that offers other ideas. The article is called Color Blindness on tolerance.org magazine. It's the fall 2009 feature. Racial color blindness is the idea that ignoring or overlooking racial and ethnic differences promotes racial harmony. Trainers and facilitators say colorblindness does not. Ah, colorblindness does just the opposite. Folks who enjoy racial privileges are closing their eyes to the experiences of others. Paying attention to the cultural experiences of students is becoming increasingly important given the differences between the demographics of American students and their teachers. According to reports from the National Center for Education Statistics, roughly 80% of American teachers are white, while children of color make up more than 40% of the student's body. As the nation's demographics shift, the sight of a white teacher leaning over the desk of a brown or black student is likely become more and more common. In order to be effective, teachers will have to learn about the cultural experiences of their students while using these experiences as a foundation for teaching. The approach is called culturally relevant pedagogy. These statistics are from 2009, so the number may not be 80% to 40% anymore, but you get the idea. Continued from the article, but that is hard to do if a teacher doesn't see differences as valuable. That means the blinders have to come off, says Randy Ross, a senior equality specialist at the New England Equality Assistance Center, a program of Brown University Education Alliance. Ross facilitates workshops on racism and culturally responsive teaching. And in her experience, white people have the hardest time opening their eyes. I have never heard a teacher of color say, I don't see color. Ross says there may be issues of cultural competence among teachers of color, but color blindness is not one of them. The core of I don't see color is I don't see my own color. I don't see differences because my race and culture is the center of the universe. Such tunnel vision is the reason a teacher can omit Africa from a timeline of world civilizations, Ross says. Still, she cautions The flaws of the colorblind approach run deeper than curriculum. Failure to see and acknowledge racial differences makes it difficult to recognize the unconscious bias everyone has. Those biases can taint a teacher's expectations of a student's ability and negatively influence a student's performance. Study after study has shown that low teacher expectations are harmful to students from socially stigmatized groups. In her article, Culturally Responsive Pedagogy for the 90s and Beyond, Anna Marie Villegas pointed out that ignorance of cultural differences could lead teachers to underestimate the true academic potential of minority students. Teachers' judgments on students' potential have profound and long lasting effects on students' lives. Villegas wrote, for minority children in particular, such judgments or misjudgments may prove costly. The evidence is overwhelming. When compared to their high ability peers, low ability students are called on less often in class, given less time to respond, praised less frequently, and prompted less often in the case of incorrect responses. Ross, a teacher who professes to be colorblind, is not going to understand how unconscious biases can influence expectations, actions, and even the way a teacher addresses students of color. Building a bridge to another culture can be difficult, but rewarding, as Elaine Moffett has seen during her 20 years at Prescott Elementary School in Oakland, California. My point is that it behooves us as educators to utilize the strengths that our children bring to the classroom: a rich language, a strong culture, a remarkable history. We do not need to be afraid of these strengths, she wrote. The children I teach are more likely to be productive members of society if they have a strong sense of self to accompany their mastery of the curriculum. In conclusion, we are seeing that the question must truly change here. The question is now, how do I, as a teacher, make sure that I do not have blinders on in the classroom? Because from that article we see that the teacher is the one who will set the stage. And he will either help the student to succeed or sink. Thank you and have a good night.